Boom.
Recorded.
We're up and ready. And it's 8:31. Good morning, everyone. Now I'm looking at you. I was multitasking. Yeah. You have my complete focus. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Red, just complete.
Good morning.
Yeah, because I have two screens. So that's why I'm like complete over here. Not worried about that over there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What am I going to use?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Can I point out that we've got Kimberly Martin here in the kitchen wearing this nice white Under Armour shirt?
Where are you? Oh, walking around. All right.
Looking good, Kimberly. Looking good.
What we're going to do today, we're going to cover something that I don't normally talk about, something that I'm actually not a big fan of. Hold on, let me adjust this a little bit. And that is buying leads. That is getting leads that aren't something we're working for. That's going to be a lot of the conversation and some of the things supported. Now, here's a little spoiler. I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to go about buying the leads because there's plenty out there. We're going to talk about a couple different lead options for you, but that's a very small, finite amount. We're going to talk about what has to happen before you commit to doing so. Otherwise, you're going to risk money, time, energy, and effort. So this is a conversation on the transition and what that can look like. And if it's something you decide, yes, I want to make this a committed effort, I'm going to do this, then please know that what we're going to cover is what today is a lot of what you're going to have to do before you make that commitment. And you need to know the pros and cons of it. So that's the spoiler alert. This is where you go buy them because that's pretty obvious. There's a lot of places in which to do so, and there's not just buying. But this is on what do you have to do to make sure that when you do make that commitment, you're not going to run into what is a deep, deep hole. I have some personal stories on that because we didn't do the job we should have. We said, well, let's give it a try. And if anybody out there has $40,000 to throw away, raise your hand to say I'm willing to give away $40,000 and not make any money on it. No? Okay, good. So we'll learn from my experience on that. Fair enough? I'm glad you're here. I really am. I'm glad you all decided to jump into this one because this is important. I think this is an important topic that we need to know. You have to have this in your arsenal. Before we get any further, though, Ms. Tiffany Mosby, have some housekeeping for us.
I do. At 12 noon today in Icon Auditorium, we have Icon series going from dual career to top producing full-time agent. And for state trainings, we have DC and Maryland team meeting today, Indiana contract training, and Illinois state meeting. Joe will drop the link for the training calendar and also the summit. Oh, George, 3 weeks from tomorrow, I need that day off because Clark and I are traveling down to Florida.
Nope, it's denied. You can't do it.
Dang.
So just buy the internet on the phone or on the plane, unless you're buying Spirit, then they don't have it. No, that's okay. We got Joe backing you up and we'll all hear it. By the time you get in, it all gets started. Folks, Tom, who else was at Build with us besides Tom? Anybody else who was at Build? Wow, it's just Tom. All right, so there's about 5 or 6 others of us that went there. It was pretty amazing. Tom, I'll call on you just on this one. Do you get energy when you go to these events? Do these events improve business? You've seen this. We've done them with Keller Williams. Obviously, that was a big part of them. We have some events with EXP in our brokerage. All brokerages do. But with Build, we have these same people speaking at Build, speaking for us. What is your suggestion on this?
Get there. Number one, get there. Number two, listen. And really kind of, one of the things that I learned years ago was, what's the one thing you can take from this event and take action that's going to help you grow your business? And then the next time you go, what's the one thing I can take from this and build my business and take action? One of the things that really resonated with me through this build, and I used to do it all the time anyways, is I got very comfortable over the last year through this pandemic of sitting down, lead generating, and getting on these calls. You won't see that anymore. So that to me was oh my gosh, I need to do that again. And what happens is when you're lead generating and you're standing up, it actually creates energy. And as you're lead generating, that energy transfers through the phone. If you sit there and go, hey, hey, George, I noticed that you have your home for sale, or are you standing up and have energy? If you tell me you're highly successful lead generating, sitting on the chair, I would say, imagine what you would do if you stood up. Okay, I'm not saying you're not successful. What I'm saying is, think of how much more successful you would be with positive energy flowing through your body. So yes, any event that you go to, it is very inspiring to grow. So get there, make the investment, and I think that whole event, for the travel and everything else, whatever it was, $1,000 or $1,500, whatever it was, it's an investment in you. And Tony Robbins said it. Many highly successful people say this: invest in yourself, invest in yourself, invest in yourself. So that's my recommendation. Get to the summit if you can. And if finances are the thing that's in the way, you need to reach out to George, myself, or maybe a sponsor and go, I need to get here. What do I need to do? Figure a way to get there, because it will change your whole perspective and your business.
Talking about financing, it's $99 on purpose. Intentionally want to make sure that it's very, very economical. I should also throw in there that Jeff and Marcy Willems, that Brent Gove, Gene Strop, who is Brent's business partner, that Elizabeth Riley, that Sheila Fairgeron, that Jaime Resendez, that Tina Valiant, they're all flying in at their expense. They're coming in because of you. They said, I'm going to pour back into my business partners, because that's our principle and our foundation. And I said, we want to do this again. We're going to have 300 people here. And they're like, I'm in 100%. They're flying in, they're paying their own flights, they're doing everything else, because we're not going to charge any extra. We wanted to make sure that this was economical. Folks, do this. I will be very disappointed. And truthfully, it's going to harm your business if you don't. Okay.
Hey, you know
this
what?
Is for you. Yeah.
George, Sheila Fairgeron, I want to talk about her just for a moment from my perception of what I've seen. You got Brent Gove, the jolly guy, reaches out to everybody, builds his downline, builds his rev share. Gene Frederick, the most amazing storyteller you ever want to meet. Sheila Fairgeron, right? She connects with people, just the right people, and she gets a Brent Gove. She gets some of the top talent in the real estate industry, and it changes her life. Who's the one person that you could be reaching out to with a genuine heart and change your life, right? So remember, when you look at Sheila Fairgeron and go, oh, this is, Brent's a recruiter and Gene's a recruiter. Look at Sheila Fairgeron. She has built a massive organization from being such a genuine influencer. I loved hearing her story. I loved hearing her speak. And you know what? She told a story about her son. And her son wanted to, he was committed to, I believe it was a sport, right, George?
Well, don't tell this. I'm pretty sure you're going to retell it.
All right. Okay. But anyways.
Yeah. Let's do that with her.
Highly accountable and very competitive and very soft-spoken.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's a cultural kind of ambassador for the company.
Yeah.
Let's get into this. Let's talk about lead generation. Let's talk about, business building. But what we're going to talk about right now is buying leads. And so I've got some stuff off the side. So if you catch me looking over, I just wrote down some notes. I want to cover some of the short calls that come with buying leads. And by the way, if you haven't figured it out, I'm also not sitting in my big comfy chair anymore. That won't happen when we're talking. I need to make sure I give you the energy that you properly and rightfully deserve. So you're going to get me in a lot more upward prone position. Who knows where this is going to go? Some of the shortfalls of buying a lead. You become a slave in almost every circumstance. That means you are a responsible person. You must answer the phone immediately, because leads are time. But if you're buying them, you're accountable to your ability to convert those leads. You're now having to do it. You can't say, well, I don't want to answer them at dinner. Doesn't give you that option, particularly when you've got money invested, but also if you're doing a referral base. If you're in the lead generating business, they're not your own leads where you have a relationship established. Be prepared that there is an opportunity for you to be a slave to this, where you're going to be fully responsible. That's one of the reasons that we kind of dropped the ball when we decided to try this about a year ago. And I will tell you that story. Somebody remind me about that one in a little bit. There's obviously the cost if you are actually doing a purchase and you need to consider it. For us, we did a 3 or 6 month experiment, $3,000. I'll give you the outcome of that. Screw it. Here's the outcome. Didn't work out that well. I think we got maybe 2 transactions out of it. It was absolutely not worth the investment. Think about that. $40,000. Our average commission is around $9,000. That was an upside down one. That was with Zillow. Don't want to throw them under the bus because they're a real estate brokerage right now. So for anybody who is an ethics person, screw it. Zillow sucks. Hate Zillow. Just me throwing it out there. Bad people. Bad. Shame on Zillow. They lied to all of us. But there's people out there that are making this work, and it doesn't mean it won't. And I'm concerned about your business. So while I may have a passion against them, from personal experience, from what they did, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be a business model for you. Because remember, guys, most important, this is about you and your family. In every circumstance, that's the number one priority. There is risk involved with this, as you would expect, because there's a lot at stake financially, time-wise, investment of time. And the reason that I say there's a lot more risk than would just readily be apparent with a dollar amount is you better have some systems. We're going to cover that in a bit, because that's the conversation today. You can go out and start buying leads right now. You can go out and get involved in leads this minute. You can do it today, and you will be fine, be successful. Okay, if you put the systems in place and you do work that you need to do. It's not an option, it's almost an assurance. What success you're going to get from there is something we're going to cover. Your systems are going to be duplicatable. I'm going to give you an example of somebody who was phenomenally successful and still is. The upside is actually that person. There's a gentleman that we listened to that was, the reason I brought this back, great example why you need to go to the summit. The reason I brought this back is I was sitting down there, and you know how I am about leads. I don't like buying them. I'm just not that guy. But listening to Blake Corey talk, I'm like, okay, I've got to give this due diligence. I may have my personal belief, but that's me. What about you? He has built a scalable business that is mind-blowing. He sold over $1 billion in real estate. His number one thing that he says is, if you're not buying leads, you're not duplicatable. And there's an argument to be had in that. I'm in Orlando. If I picked up and I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, my system of business is database, it's referral based, it's people that know me. I can't pick that up and move that as easily as I could if I had a systematic lead generating system. Now, all of us need to have some form of lead generation that we're committed to. I told you all this, and I'm not going to change my opinion of it. 2, maybe 3. 2 is to start with. 2 lead generating sources that you are good at and you're in mastery. Well, this may be one of them. And the illusion is, and this is what we're going to get out of everybody's head, the illusion is it's just easier, because if I buy the leads, they just show up. And all of a sudden it's like, look, oh my God, I've got so much business, I don't know what to do. Bullshit. Because the problem is, when that starts to happen, if you don't have a duplication, that's the systems we're going to cover in just a minute. If you don't have your systems in place, if you're not duplicatable, you'll be putting out fires constantly. You will not have the ability to go through this at the level that you must to be really, really successful. But if you do, this guy is just mind-blowing in what Blake has done. I mean, he has this in like 4 or 5. Can somebody make sure one of the mics are muted in there? Tiffany or Joe, jump on that. Somebody's got some mic on. It's the opportunity for massive expansion. You can go anywhere you want if you have a good lead generation system that's automatic and duplicatable. Okay. I personally believe open houses are, but that's just me. We're going to cover that. Holy cow, do we have some stuff to talk about in there. So one of the things that Blake has that I thought was really cool is it's completely scalable. He knows that for everything he does, there's, in this case, it was his ISAs, which is his inside sales agents. Now, remember, we're currently going to be the ISA if we're lead generating, if we're going to buy leads. An ISA is an inside salesperson. That's the first place the lead comes. The funnel starts here. That's the part that makes you a slave. You have to answer it. For his ISAs, he has an entire system of what they go through in their training, how they train, who trains them, what they have to accomplish, and then the test afterwards. He can add 5 ISAs in a week and have them up to speed in a week. And he has a system to do it, and it doesn't change. Here's the key. Write this down if you want to, or at least remember it. If you're doing it more than once, you need to have it systematized. Now, that doesn't mean, and I'm way ahead of myself, but it's so important. That doesn't mean that your system isn't flexible. I want you all to think about what is something, I'm going to share something that's very near and dear to my heart. Big Mac sandwiches. Okay, I said it, that's true. I love Big Macs. I love them. I've always loved them. They were a treat. But think about it. They're the same anywhere I go. However, they're flexible enough that if I say I don't want onions, I'm not going to get onions. That's a good system. It offers the flexibility because you're all thinking in the I'm going to argue this, George. Bullshit, that's not true. Bullshit, it is true. Your systems have to be exactly the same. Yes, there are going to be differences, and you can make that decision. But without your specific guidance on everything and your thought process on everything, it must be the same. And then you vary it to the clients you're working with. And anybody out there that goes, well, that's not a system. Jessica, I'm speaking to you. I'm sorry. I haven't seen her on the call in a while. But if you've got a system for this, you can duplicate it very, very easily. You can do it the same all the time. Think about with your listing presentation, what do? You go in, you send a pre-listing package before it gets there, you deliver it, you have everything set, it's ready to go. This is part of the system. After you're done, you write a thank you note, you get it in the mail immediately, even if you have to go to the post office the next day, it's part of the system. If you don't want to do one of those, that's okay, that's your choice, but the system's set up. I'm really, really committed to that. All right, back to buying leads. The scale, it's got to be scalable, it's got to be leverageable, it's got to be duplicatable. What we just talked about. Some of these leads that we're looking at are referral-based leads. And honestly, those are a pretty good start. It requires, in almost every circumstance, immediate response. Great example would be Ojo. That's one you can use. There's quite a few others. I don't have all the names, but my goodness, they're out there if you want them. Think about this though. What they're doing is they're calling 4 or 5 people at one time. If you don't answer, it's not you. And they are grading because we have metrics. Everybody has metrics on everything. If you're looking online on something, they have metrics on you already. They know if you're answering or not. If you are, you can build a really, really good business and it doesn't cost you anything out of pocket. There's a gentleman that we have as a business partner. His name is Mark Younger. He has very, very quickly capitalized on some lead software or some lead things in there. I should have asked him to join the call today. He's literally working all the time. He can have a good conversation about that. I'll see what I can do about getting him on there next week. Joe, if you wouldn't mind reminding me of that one, or maybe even I can have him jump on tomorrow and just give us a quick overview because I'll kind of carry this through for tomorrow too. I think there's enough meat on this one to make it work. Some are referral based where you're paying for the business, but they're not scalable, or excuse me, where you give them like anywhere from 25 to 35%, but they're not going to be scalable to other areas, not going to be scalable to a lot more growth because they will limit you on what you can do. When you go into another area, you have to start your reputation all over again. It's like building a reputation. Doesn't mean they don't work and they don't work really well. They do. And there is no out-of-pocket money, which is awesome. You might want to consider that. The others are pay-based, as we know, Realtor.com, Zillow. There's a bunch more out there as well. Some of these referral businesses that are out there, be aware. They're generating a ton of business online. And Ideal Agent's a great example. A ton of business online. And then your reputation, your speed, your efficiency is going to do it. Some of you may be thinking, oh, gosh, I don't know if I have that reputation for that. You may not, and that's cool, but we'll build it elsewhere. Okay? Again, I've got to revisit this. Please, for the love of God, pick 2 lead generation sources only. If this isn't going to be one of yours, I want you to have a knowledge of this. I wanted to make sure that we brought it to you. But if it's not going to be one of yours, then just listen for a nugget. When you get the nugget, write it down and make sure you're going to put it. I'm going to suggest that the nugget is systemizing everything so it's duplicatable. But I wanted to make sure you had this because it's not something I've talked about for 2 years. You can have a very good business in buying leads. I am not a proponent of it. I've never done it. I won't. I tried it, failed miserably, $40,000. So we've covered the buying of the leads. We've covered the some are referral based, some are actual cost based, like Realtor.com is cost based, or Zillow's cost based. You got to pay for them. The referral based, you get a referral on there. They are very, very scalable, and you can create a huge business. Now, it doesn't just have to be, when I say buying leads, that doesn't have to be the only way. You can also buy leads with direct mail using that as your marketing strategy. Remember, we are in the lead generating business. And that is what every single one of us, every one of us is in the lead generating business. Under no circumstances, that will not change. As long as you're in real estate, that's the number one thing you have to do, because everything else is predicated on that being a successful journey. Again, just an option. Absolutely not a suggestion of you should. It's an option of you can. There's something that was brought up that I thought was absolutely brilliant. I'll share a slide on that one in just a couple minutes. Blake was talking about find somebody who's doing what you want to do. And this is a reoccurring thing. We literally had this theme go across the board, and you all consider this too. Find somebody who's doing what you want to do and then mirror them. Do what they do. If you wanted to have, I challenge anybody to do this. If you wanted to have this massive business, kind of like Blake does, honestly, he's a great example. He may be a little far away, but my God, if you're going to shoot big, why not go huge? Why don't you just call him up and say, Mr. Blake Corey, my name is George Philbeck, and I want to have a business exactly like yours. I'm willing to do anything you need, but I'm going to be out in San Diego over the next couple of weeks. I'll be there, pretty easy, pretty convenient. I'd love to spend the time and be able to take you out for a cup of coffee, or even better, visit your office, perhaps even shadow you for a day. I admire what you do. Your business is fantastic. Would that be possible, sir? No, it wouldn't. Well, I'm going to be in San Diego almost all the time. I'm going to call you back next month and ask the exact same question, because I will take no for an answer. You are exactly who I want to be. I want to model after you. And the only way I can successfully do that is by seeing you and meeting you. It is one of those things that's going to drive my business. Who here, show of hands, the people I can see, has the guts to do that? Really? Thank you. I got one person, I think. That's what I like to see. Way to go, Steve. I want to give you guys a little insight. In 2006, I was doing fairly well. Now, remember, I got into real estate in 2002. That first year through 2003, I think I sold 26 homes and 28 homes and like 35 homes. And I was starting to put a little bit of money in my pocket. I had some income. I was creating a duplicatable business. I was comfortable with it. And I said, I really need to make this a little bit bigger. So I wanted to generate some leads. I wanted to buy some leads, exactly what we're speaking about. So I called up Jeff and Marcy Willems, because Marcy Willems was the best person on TV, as well as Russell Shaw. Those were the two. I did a lot of research. I said, these are the people I want to meet. And I asked, can I come out and visit you? I'm going to be in that area. I'd like to sit, have a cup of coffee. Well, Russell Shaw was nice as can be. He goes, yeah, anytime you want, that's fine. Jeff was not so nice. He said, you've got to be here. I'm available tomorrow at 10 o'clock if you want to come. Otherwise, no. I'm like, absolutely. I'll be glad to, you son of a bitch. And I booked a red-eye flight for like $800 because it was the next morning's flight. Then I flew out to Phoenix and then met with Russell for breakfast, and I was met Jeff at 10. That allowed me to get into TV because I said I wanted to be there, and I came in and I did that. And I want to encourage you, all of you, whatever you want to do, somebody's probably already done it. The trick is, do you have what it takes? And I believe you do. To tell them, I love what you're doing. I love how you're doing it. I want to do what you're doing. And I would love to come and shadow you or talk to you or buy you a cup of coffee, or worse, better yet, bring lunch for your crew at the office and have lunch with everybody. I'll provide it so I can have an opportunity to see what amazing looks like. You will be amazed what will happen when you do that. Doing so with Jeff, and he was really the catalyst to it. Jeff and Marcy were the catalyst to it, and that's where literally all of this came from, is those relationships you create. I'm an agent selling 30 homes. He's selling 500 homes. Do y'all see the dynamic? I'm not a very big agent at this point. I've been practicing real estate for 3 years. I don't sit on the world stage. but I knew what I wanted, and I know who had it, and I followed that. And I want to challenge every one of you to do the exact same thing. What is it? What is that one? This is my lead generating. Remember, we're all lead generating. This is my lead generating. This is what I'm going to be phenomenal at. Well, if that's what it is, who's the best out there? And now go get them. Because you know what? People that are really successful are probably the most generous people with what got them there. Because they have enough. They're not interested in, oh, it's my secret sauce. Nobody can see it, my pretty. That's not how that works. We want other people to be successful. Listen to me, that was completely arrogant. All the successful people I know come from contribution. Well, that's not fair. Almost all of them do. Please invest some time into saying, what is it you want? What's your big why? What's the way you're going to be amazing at it? And then let nothing get in your way. And I guarantee you, you'll be successful, but you need to model after somebody. One of the things I picked up, and this is the next part, I feel like I just got off on this huge rant about that. One of the things that we hear all the time, if you do something more than once, you have to have a system for it. Again, because she's on the call, Jessica, I'm talking to you. Jessica and I coach back and forth and kind of help each other out. So I'm just teasing her because I haven't seen her in a while on the call. I know she's been really busy, which is a good thing. Folks, every single thing, I'm going to go back to what I did with Jeff and Marcy because I wanted to get on TV. I needed to be able to make an impression, and I needed a system for my pre-listing packages. So as opposed to creating my own, literally took theirs and I just duplicated it. But every single time I listed a property, before we went out on a listing appointment, the pre-listing package showed up. And the reason it did is because Jeff said that's what we do. So I just did it. Mine was a pizza box. It had 2 dice in there. Why gamble with your future or with the sale of your home? Why not work with George Philbeck and the Philbeck home selling team? We had a 45-day guarantee because Jeff had a guarantee. So I had to recall it. We still do. I have that trademark, so back up. It doesn't work in this market anyway. It works in a declining market. But guys, everything he did, I just copied. I literally had the person that was buying his media buy my media. I did try and recreate the wheel, and I followed the systems that he had, and I said, oh, this is great. I flew home with a pizza box. It was just a little pizza box for like the little 12-inch. I flew home with his pizza box because I didn't want to crush it. I needed to tear it apart and duplicate it in my hand on the airplane. I'll never forget. I'm flying. Couldn't sit properly it was too big to fit in the section. So I had to hold this and put it on the ground, and there were really, really short seats. So anyway, I ended up holding this thing and tearing it apart. That's a system. You have to have these systems because it's going to allow everything to go very easily, and you have to stop thinking about what you're doing. Think about it once, make it right, make it great, put it into place, and then if you want to tweak it, tweak it. But first, get it going, because if you're going to be buying leads, you better systematize everything. If you're going to buy leads, you have to know, what does that buyer appointment look like? Because you can't think about it. You're not going to have time. That's the idea. You are in the lead cultivation business if you're buying leads. Your number one responsibility, as was mine with TV, is if that phone rang, come hell or high water, I answered it. You're forcing business to come to you. You do become a slave to it. It's not a bad thing. It's just a truthful thing. And remember, your number one responsibility is cultivating these leads. In fact, this is what Blake was talking about that I thought was pretty cool. Let me share it with you. I think this will make this be impactful. All right. These are right off of his slides, what he was doing. And you can tell I was sitting off on the side, but I was like, there's nothing going to stop me from taking a photo of this. It all starts with why. Most of you have found that you found it and can describe it. Now, this is a conversation with a lot of high-level people. And I challenge everybody, do you know what your big why is? Do you know what you want to get to? Do you know what your goal is? And do you have a very clear vision on how you're going to get there? I'll let you in on a little secret. Pay very close attention. Everything you do works if you do it well. Everything. So in this one, he was talking about your big why. What is it? What is your goal in your business? What is each one of you? And I have this conversation with you guys all the time. I know Tiffany does. I know Joe does. It's one of our primary conversations we want to have when you're joining our group, because we want to know what's important to you. What do you consider success? What did you get to? Because the truth is, it's our goal to celebrate that with you and make a new one, and it's going to change. My personal dream for everybody is you set a goal, you have an idea of what you want. You said, this is where I put the line in the sand. This is what I'm going to do. And this is what's going to happen. And I absolutely 100% believe that it will. That if you have that kind of just, I'm going to do it, it'll get done. Find somebody to model, or if you're buying your business, buy your business. That's okay. Get your system set up. But if you know what's going to happen, do it. Now, this is, he wrote down, I thought this was great. I'm not going to waste your time by pulling it up right now, but it says, you won't get your wants, you'll get your must-haves. And that one made me go, kind of interesting. What that means, what I interpreted from that, is that in this process, in this building process, you don't get what you want, you get what you must have. You get what you absolutely, no questions asked, this is going to happen. Sometimes you have to make some sacrifices. Remember, you're building. There's a picture of Jeff Bezos. I'll use him as an example because it's such a great one. And it's 1997. And it's a picture of him sitting at a fold-out table, one of those big arm tables, feet tall. And it says Amazon, and it's written in crayon. I'm assuming one of the kids wrote it. He was working his ass off, and now he can take it a little easier. As you're building this, you're not going to get what you want. You're going to get what you absolutely must have, which is your systems, and that's got to be your drive. You're going to spend, I believe, as you go through this growth, more and more time focusing on how do I make it work while responding immediately to any leads that come in. I will give you guys a little bit of advice that if you're going to be purchasing, if you're going to be investing money, and you want to make sure that you're motivated, you've heard the analysis, burn the boats. How that works is if you're sailing your boat into shore with your entire army and you want to make sure your army wins, burn the fucking boats. Excuse my language, but you don't really have a choice at that point. You're not retreating. You say, this is what I'm going to do. Well, let's make sure we do it. You're going to fail a little bit, but just be ready for it. And actually failure is good because it teaches you some things. You're not going to have the systems in place. It's going to help you in that process. So get started now, right now. If this is, you're saying, I want to do this, this is where you start. And don't be afraid of buying leads, please. I'm not speaking to Delania personally. Yes, I am. I see you. She's flawless. I mean, I love watching her. Delaney, I swear to God, I truly believe this. I like everything, and I've had an opportunity, she's nearby, so I get a chance to watch her. She's just perfection what she does, and I love that. But you're gonna have to, not just you, but everybody else, you're gonna have to make some mistakes. You're gonna crack some eggs. So get started. And if you make a couple mistakes, that's cool. Those are very, very, very inexpensive lessons that will greatly help you. Don't wait to be ready. Get going now. I'll give you an example. I made we're on a listing appointment. I think we're going to get it. I'm pretty sure we will. And it's 3 or 4 weeks away before we decide to place a home on the market. I made a commitment that we'll raise probably around $3,500. I'm going to have 6 or 7 agents if they're interested, help me. We're going to put on a mega open house like this, never been seen anywhere before, ever. I mean, like radio station, 2 sign spinners, 50 signs in each direction. I'm going sick on this one. I want 300 people in that open house going through there. I'm going to run it 6 or 11 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. And every single neighbor in there is going to know who I am because we're going to hit every single door. Like literally, not just knock on it, but if they don't answer, we're coming back the next day and we're coming back the next, we're going to blow out the water. There'll be enough leads in there for everybody. No, the truth is, I'm not set up for it. If y'all haven't figured this out, I'm a fake. I don't sell homes that much anymore. That's not true. We do. We sell with our database. I'm just being totally transparent. I know exactly what to do and how to do it. I have opted not to at this point. If I have a house ready, I'm going to give it to somebody else. I want them to help hold it open because it's going to help their business. And I don't need it. I'm not being greedy. Please don't misunderstand that as arrogance. It's not. It's truth. I just prefer to help. This is where I get my passion. But we're going to do this one. Here's the line in the sand. I just committed to it. I can't really go back because what is there, like 75 of us on the call at this point? I'm a little stupid. You put a line in the sand like that as well for whatever you're going to do in your business. Again, if in this case it's lead generated, put the line in the sand and get started. The only way this isn't going to happen is if we don't get the listing, and they are looking at offer pad, but we've kind of got them out of the equation. So I'm pretty sure we are, which means I'm going to need 5 or 6 people to help me out with this one, and this is going to be sick. By the way, I don't have a clue yet exactly how I'm going to raise $3,500 from my vendors. But the guy who's going to give me that clue and show us exactly how to do it, because he's done it not once, twice, but 3 times now, will be talking to all of us at the summit. For that alone, if you do open houses, you need to have your ass at that summit. And I am potty mouth all over the place today, guys. Just deal with it. I don't know what happened. I didn't have coffee. Maybe that's it. All right, back to our topic. So we covered systems in a really, really big way. You've got to start creating them, and that's got to be your focus. You're going to have to, as I always say, schedule it, but it's going to work on the system based on what you're going to do. And if this, again, lead generating is going to be, it's part of your business no matter what. If you're going to pay for them, terrific. If you're not, totally cool. But you better have your systems in place. Anything you do more than once needs to be duplicated, and it needs to be automated. You should be able to start using things to leverage that as well. Steve, holy crap, am I talking to you, brother? I love you. We got to help you automate it. We're working with a crew to do that. Every single person here can benefit from that. Any thoughts on it, Steve?
Absolutely. Good morning, George. Thank you for the opportunity. And full disclaimer and priorities, look at my camera phone right here. See that? So instead of fixing that, I bought tickets to the GPS Summit. There you go. So make sure you guys are there. I think we have 5 to 6 team members going.
Yep.
So just to give you a quick heads up. So those of you that know me, we've been pretty big on online lead generation for going on 6 years. We're big into Realtor.com predominantly. Some of the referral sites on there for you guys: Referral Exchange, UpNest, Ojo, Redfin, and Fast Expert. You could look at a couple of those for referral exchanges. Anywhere between 30 to 35% is what you're looking at. You know, talking about online leads, speed to lead is huge. And then in the beginning, it's total reactionary. You are a slave to the phone for probably the first 2.5 years. I remember, you know what I mean? Weekend after weekend after weekend, kids in the back of the car with iPad and coloring books while we were out showing property. To online leads that would come in that would want to view property in an hour, in 2 hours, that same afternoon. So just be ready to sacrifice some time. I think that if you can employ like a 3x3x3 method, the biggest breakdown for agents on these online lead generations, and I'm going to come back to the 3x3x3, but it's the follow-up. A lot of these agents will make contact with these leads, which we still struggle with. They'll have a conversation. They'll maybe try to call back one more time, and that's it. So the follow-up is the key. If you're doing the follow-up that the other agents are not, you're going to be fine. The conversion will come between the 8th to the 12th contact. That's statistically speaking. So between the 8th and the 12th contact, it's when you're going to increase your conversion rates. The 3x3x3 is when the online lead comes in over the course of 3 days. It's 3 phone calls, 3 emails, 3 texts. You don't want to beat these people to death, but you know you're paying for these leads. When I was handling them personally for probably the first 2 years, things were good. I think the struggles come as you grow a team. You have to have the accountability measures in place, because nothing against the agents, but they're not paying for these leads. So for them to call them 1 or 2 times and never call them again, it doesn't matter to them because they're not paying for the leads. So if you are going to scale this, you've got to be clear on your accountability measures up front, and you've got to have standards in place to increase the conversion ratio on these online leads. So there you go, George. That's all I got.
I absolutely love that. By the way, that brought up something that I had done before. We had done this a while ago, and it was with leads that I was receiving through postcards. It was direct mail, and it was something. The statistics are fairly well known that most people don't. They won't say yes. They won't engage. They won't be. You won't really start to capture that lead until around 10 communications. And I love this approach because I truly believe humor breaks through it. Your first conversation, your first email, your first voicemail, or your first anything is, listen, I totally understand that based on the math, we're not going to really talk until the 10th time. So I'm going to call you 5 more times. Don't answer the phone. and then we'll like speed this up so you and I have a conversation about what's important to you. Honestly, that humor, and it's either call or it's a video at this point. It can be anything you want, but think about how that humor might break down that barrier a little bit quicker, and you're stating facts that are true. Just a thought. But Steve, thank you for the insight on that and the input. I want to share something else.
Real quick. I mean, even though they're not responding, they're listening and they're watching, you know? So it's just when the timing's right for them a lot of the time. So
that brings up something that I have very, very good knowledge on. I used to do for sale by owners. That was all I did. That was literally my only generation source for 3 years. That's not fair. I started after about 6 to 8 months when I got really good at for sale by owners. I started throwing in farming. I took a farm of 113 people, 113 homes. That was my neighborhood. And I walked around at 5 o'clock in the morning because at that point I was too shy. I didn't want anybody to see me. And I put notes on their doors once a month. That was my entire farming technique for 150. Just as a footnote, I ended up owning 90% of the listings that went in that property or in that community were mine. So it does work time on task, but that didn't happen for about 2 or 3 more years. I had to build to it. Anyway, to the point, lost the point. Crap. Where's I going with that? Yeah, no idea.
see, if you were standing up, you'd still be on point. So you wouldn't have got.
I am standing up, man. Well, all right. I'm on like a wobbly chair.
I'm just.
Just as a footnote for everybody, if you look in here, it says in the chat box, listing class Blake Corey, Blake Corey. His class on what he does for his listings, his listing presentation, everything, basically how to copy his duplicatable system. He's teaching that class today. You got to go in there and log in and sign up. Use your EXP email, please. It's an EXP base. It's only for EXP agents. EXP email needs to be used. But if you go in there and log in and do it, I'm going to be on the class. You know why? Because it's going to be awesome. And I want to see what he does. I want to see how he does his listing presentation because I think it's important. I would encourage you all to do that too. And if you like what you see, take it. It's yours. And if you really, really like what you see, call him up on the phone and say, hey, listen, I want to come to you. Here's something else that he said that I thought was very, very important. And this is so true for all of us. Our job is to convert a lead to an appointment. Steve and I just covered it. Steve, thank you. That was really, really good stuff. 8 to 12 times. And remember, break that down. Oh, that's where I was going. I'll get back to it. It has to do with for sale by owners. Convert a lead to an appointment. After you do that, you convert an appointment to a signed agreement, a listing agreement and or a buyer signed agreement. There's a great buyer signed agreement in the GPS group in Workplace. And it is very unoffensive, unpushy. It's great for the Florida market. If you're outside of Florida, use whatever you need to, but you want to get a buyer signed up as well. That means it's a partnership. I have to say this because it's just so critical. The one that I like to use, because those really, they're not going to hold up. They just won't hold up if you go to court. They say, well, I don't want to work with them anymore. He wouldn't let me cancel. They're like, you're out, because it's always protecting the buyer. So why not use the one that we have, which is all about telling them what we do to service them. And all we ask them to do is let us know if they want to see a for sale by owner, and let us know if they're going to see an open house or a new construction. Let the new construction know that they're working with us. That's all we ask, and we're going to protect them. And there's a whole process to that. You big a plume where you sign it in front of them and give it to them to keep. And trust me, it's important. You want to get them signed. You're trying to sign a contract with them or sign an agreement with them one way or another. Agreement's a better term. That agreement is either for a listing appointment or that they're going to work with you. You're going to have to see them to do that, which means you have to convert that lead. I love this. The tools is they're built for scale. You can go on 5 buyer presentations in one day if you have it scaled properly, if your systems are in place, which is not scaled, excuse me, if your systems are in place. Think about this, guys. The idea is that you have to think about it. Okay, there was an oxymoron. You don't have to think about what you're going to do when you go to a buyer and meet with a buyer. You have a presentation that talks about awesomeness of you. And here's the fun part. If it's not perfect after that first one, you're like, God, I really didn't like that part. Take it out, make it better, and change the other 3 you got waiting so that you are ready to go, and it will always improve. Here's a great example of always improve. Some of you have gone through and used the Jumpstart checklist to help you. It's far different now than it was when you did it. It's much better. Tiffany, can I get a hallelujah to that? I mean, we worked our butts off to continue to update this on every little thing that you give us feedback on. And I want you to do the same thing with your business tools. I want you to update them, but have a system that you can rely on and depend on. The last thing on there that he wrote is been through a lot of coaching programs and exchanges. I'm going to challenge that in anything you're doing, you want to be, yet again, in any environment. Here's the two things that you need to attend for the rest of this year. You definitely need to be at the GPS. There's no question about it. This is brought to you, for you, about you, by it, because of you. These are the best of the best, guys. They're friends of mine. And I said, hey, do me a favor. My people need to hear this. I mean that with all modesty put aside. I say my people like I don't own y'all, but we're partners. And I was able to bring them here. Be there. It's for you. Second, EXP convention is in Las Vegas. All right, for nothing else, it's in Las Vegas. It's a write-off. I mean, go let your hair down. All right, this is all I can let down. Thank you, Tiffany. She reminded me of that yesterday. But go, let's have some fun. All right, it's a write-off. You deserve it. It's in November. I'll be there. You need to be there because these are going to motivate the heck out of you. You will have more energy, you know what to do with, and it's all about you getting what you wanted to do. All right, so last thing I put down that we're going to cover, we'll go through this fairly quickly. Most of this you already know. I absolutely need you to have a systemized listing presentation and a buyer presentation. You have to have a system, a way at which it's handled, a way at which it's responded to. A buyer calls and I pick up the phone. Hi, this is George. How may I help you? And I start having a conversation with this buyer because they're calling, they're talking to me. It's a lead that was generated. And my first response is usually, let me pull up the MLS and check on that. There's a better answer. I don't know what it is. Actually, I have a pretty good idea, but there's definitely a better answer than that. What's your system? What happens every time? This is the one I always use. Hey, I'm on the phone with somebody right now. We are finishing up we're finalizing a transaction or a sale of a property. Can I call you back in less than 3 minutes and I'll have the answer? What's the address of the property? I'll have everything you need in 2 minutes. Just let me finish this conversation with them and then I call back. But I've already pulled up the information. So I have that. I have the other houses around there. I'm going to provide extraordinary service. I'm buying some time. It's a really good way to wish to do this. And when you call them back, give them something of an evidence of success. Remember, you are in a sales position. This is transparently a sales pitch. Thank you so much for allowing me a couple seconds. We just negotiated a phenomenal contract for a client of mine. And I think we just stole this house under value, which is terrific. Evidence of success. That's exactly what they want to hear. You are trying to create a relationship in here. And unfortunately, I'm not implying that it needs to be started with a lie, but the truth of the matter is your job is to earn their confidence and you better be good at what you're doing. But I know how to answer the phone every time. Do you? That's a system you need to have. What is your version? What do you do with it in this system? How do you research them? Do you use any person or any who? I think it's any who, and start finding out who they are so that when you talk to them next time, you know more about them. They go in your database. Do they go in your database? They go in your CRM. You have them in your CRM, and do you keep good notes? Because this is part of it. Your goal is to get an appointment. That's it. Remember, we're converting a lead to an appointment. Your goal is to get an appointment. One of the best ways in which to do so with the buyers, of course, to show them a house. So there's a property down the street. Did y'all catch that? I said, when I'll call you back, I looked at that and then I looked around there so that I could say, well, that home is this one. I've already got the MLS up. There are 3 other homes in that neighborhood that are for sale. If you want, I'll be glad to shoot them over to you so you take a look at them. They're all pretty cool. One of them's got a pool and it backs up to conservation. It's gorgeous. Who would say no to that? Some people, but most won't. Do you have that? This is going back a couple of years. Okay, truthfully, this is going back a couple of years because Jackie answers the phone most of the time now. But that's how ingrained it was for me. Hi, I was calling about the home that you have for sale, by the home that you're selling. My name is George Philbick. I'm a real estate agent with, at this point, Keller Williams Realty. And my team and I always want to know what's available on the market. I got some information about your property, but I'd like to get some more. Is there anything else you can send me or any way I can possibly come take a look at the property? I want to bring it back to the team so we know every home that's available. I happen to know, and this is what I was going to tell you before, that with for sale by owners, it takes on average 8 times. So I had an 8-week system of follow-up off the top of my head. The first week after I made the initial go to their house, see the property. Oh, this is great. I asked them if they have a seller's disclosure. Well, what's that? And I explained the dynamic to that. So I bring a seller's disclosure. I said, it's in my car. I leave on purpose because they want to chit about the fact that he's just giving us something. And then I say, thanks very much. And I leave. And they're like, you're not trying to sell me anything? No, you said you're selling your home for sale by owner. If you change your mind, I'd be glad to help. But all right, right now I want to respect your opinion. All right, great. So what are you doing? We'll talk about it. I'll check back on Tuesday. By the way, I always check back on Tuesdays. You know why? Because that way they get to sulk over the fact that it didn't sell over the weekend on Monday. And I bring something else. Homeowners Association. Can I help you do an open house? Let me take a look at your marketing. 8 times I got to follow up with them, and that's all I remember. But after 8 times, there's a really good chance that I'm the last one standing because most people won't. Are you following up with your leads 8 to 10 times, 12 times, as Steve had said? I think you need to. You need to have good lead conversion scripts. At some point in the near future, I love this part. At some point in the near future, you're going to need to learn how to hire. And that's a problem I want every one of you to have. I know you can. Trust me, I believe in you. I probably believe in you more than you do you. Perhaps one of the challenges that you're facing is not real clarity of what it is you're going to be focusing your energies on. I'm walking away a little bit from our buying the leads, which absolutely works. Steve's a great example. Matter of fact, he's probably somebody who said, can I follow you around for a bit? I'm not throwing him under the bus, but he's really good at, he's purchased leads now. He's got an expertise in here and he knows what he's doing. But with you guys, I want you to consider, if you know what you're good at, what you're going to do. Mine was for sale by owners, and then it got into farming, and that was exactly it. I didn't really get into farming though until I saw somebody do farming at an incredibly high level. They were capitalizing on 90% of their listings that went in their market. They had 400 homes in their market. There's a woman named Jenny Weimer. She's one of the top agents in the world at this point. But I followed, I said, what are you doing? She told me, and I did exactly what she did. We used to rollerblade around putting flags in the yards on July 4th weekend. I did what she did. I copied. What are you going to do and who are you going to copy? Because for every one of you, success is right around the corner and it takes 90 days. We are spitting distance away from the 4th quarter of this year, which is the 1st quarter of 2022. I think the market will balance a little bit. I think that we'll have an opportunity for it to be not as so completely seller oriented, which is truthfully a better market for every one of us. And I think that every one of you can start this market off, this year off, with really, really big goals, your personal goals, what you want, and having a clear idea of what you need to do. And boy, this is going to sound familiar. Maybe what we need to do is some time to work on our systems, as well as make sure we're available to follow up with all our leads. You can do anything you put your mind to. This I know because I went to build, and I am so freaking energized at this point that I pity the fool to get in front of me from now on, because this is going to get ugly. There's nothing we can't do when we can together. As I always do, tell somebody you love them. Tell them they're important to you. Tell them that they matter. Make a phone call today. Tell somebody that. That's the basis of database, making sure they know that they're valued and you value them as a person, not as a business entity. All right. Any questions, any insights, anything? Yes. And Jamie has a question. Jamie.
Hey, George, how are you?
Awesome.
Question for you. You mentioned following people that are doing what you want to do. Say, for instance, someone like me, I've lived in the same town for so long, and I really would like to work my database more effectively. Do you have any suggestions?
I do. Scott Deputy, he is the bomb. I am doing everything I can to get Scott to come and talk to us at the GPS Summit because he's so good at database. I'll give you an example. And it's Scott Deputy. You can find him on Workplace. I would encourage you to go to wherever he is and say, I'd like to follow you for a day. You will come back with your mind blown on what he does. He works a database of about 200 people, and he closes at least 40 transactions a year solely from that database. That's the only thing he does. He does micro parties, and he does daily or communication with them about 40 or 50 times a year through things that sounds daunting, but it's really not. And it's something that we preach on, and we actually started adapting a lot of what he's doing as well. But Scott Deputy is, in my opinion, probably one of the best at that there is.
Thank you.
Does that help? You got it. Oh, just as a heads up, Jamie, if you just message Scott on workplace chat, which is everybody has access to, if you message him, say, Scott, George Philbeck said I should probably call you. He and I are business partners, and he mentioned that you're amazing at database. And I don't know where you live, but I was wondering if I can go to wherever you live and buy you a cup of coffee and maybe shadow you for a day to see what you do. I can almost guarantee you, Jamie, and I'll actually bet $50 on this one to help pay for the flight, that he'll say, you know what, you're more than welcome to. That would be terrific. And go watch what he did. I'm going to give you guys a story. Anyway, I challenge you to do that, Jamie. You'll be amazed. But he'll also be here, and that may be the introduction. If you come to the summit, my everything in me wants to get him here, and I'm working on it. We talked about it at Build. I'll give you an example of what can happen. I gave you that example when I went out to see Jeff, and I said, all right, just please do me a favor, show me, may I come visit you? He said, yeah, you got a half an hour at 10 o'clock in the morning. I said, okay, so great, I'll be there after I cussed him out when I fly in a red eye. So TV was going great, but I knew the REO business was about to pop around, and I needed to learn more about it. There's a person in my market, his name is Jeff Perry. And for anybody that might know Jeff, I'm here to tell you Jeff is an amazing person. He is fanatical about professionalism, and he doesn't put up very well, and he talks poorly to anybody that is not on a professional level. But I said, Jeff, I'm thinking of getting into the REOs. You really don't know me. At this point, I'm selling about 150 homes, so he may have known of me but didn't know me. And I'm thinking about getting in the REOs. I'd love to buy a cup of coffee. So my office manager and he said, sure, we'll do that. My office manager and I went to have a cup of coffee with him outside of his office. There's no way we're going in his office for about 30 minutes. We just talked to him. I asked him what he did. I said, his work and everything else. 3.5 hours later, after walking through his entire office, him literally saying, you want 2 of these people, you need 3 of these, you got to have your BPOs doing this. Don't forget your inspectors. They've got to do this. He walked me through everything. I am Jeff's, period, biggest competitor. No question about it. I am directly competitive with him. We are in the same market. We were the 2 top REO agents. And the only reason I was there is because he shared it with me. Now, you can bet that I'll defend him to anybody and everybody. But what I want you to get out of this is by simply asking, the worst thing that would have happened, I would have known my biggest competitor. Now, I don't encourage you to find your biggest competitor in the market. It was unusual that happened. But what happened is I became the biggest REO agent. And that's all because of he gave me the blueprint because I asked. And I want you guys to get this. What do you want to do? Who is it? Who's your model? This is off just buying leads. This is general. Who's doing what you want to do? And then ask them, how'd you do it? What do I do? And here's a little secret. Pay close attention to this one. When they tell you, believe them. Okay? Just take what they say as the gospel and do what they say. This is what you need to do. You need to have a pizza box. Okay. I went back and I ordered 100 pizza boxes. You know why? Because I didn't think it was going to work. Here's another little one for you. Because you never know where the conversations come from. So from the people I can see, does anybody here, raise your hand if you can see this, because I'm looking at a bunch of people. Does anybody, if I say Brent Gove, does anybody know who Brent Gove is? Raise your hand if you know who he is. Nobody? Really? Did I lose everybody? Am I muted? Tiffany, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can anybody hear me, or am I fading out?
Brent Goves.
No, we hear you perfect.
All right, cool. I couldn't tell because it looked like everybody froze. So because I flew out to meet Jeff and Marcy and learn about that, we had some success. And then Jeff said to me, hey, listen, he was doing a coaching business at that point. Would you come out and speak to my coaches? We're going to be in Las Vegas. Yeah, you had me at hello. So would you come out and speak to me or speak to my team, to the coaches? And there's, I don't know, a couple hundred people there. Guess who's coaching with, or who was on stage with me talking to these people? Brent Gove. Had I not asked Jeff for advice on how to do TV, had I not said, I'm going to, you know what I had to say? I literally had to do this. I had to go, 1, 2, 3, go. Hi, my name is George Philbeck. I swear to God, I was nervous as can be because I'm calling a guy who's like, oh, and he was rude on the phone. Great guy, love him to death, but rude. So I'm sitting next to Brent Gove. That wouldn't have happened had I not done that. Catch how the trajectory of my business. I was doing fairly well, selling 30, 35 homes, but I was moving to that next level and I needed to model. So I called Jeff and I modeled after Jeff. And then I ended up going and sitting next to Brent Gove, of all people. Isn't that crazy? And then I meet Brent. So Brent says, you should do open houses. And he told me the way in which to do open houses. And I said, I didn't really think about it. So I called him back about 2 years later as the market really crapped out. And at that point, I was fairly involved in REOs, and he re-walked me through how to do open houses. It's exactly what you all have. And none of that would have happened had I not said, I know what I want, I'm going to get it, but my goals, your goals, they changed a bit. And the market changes, your goals can change. Don't think you have to own them forever, but you need to own them completely while you do. Now, here's the part that's kind of interesting. Because of all that, because I had a great model in Jeff Perry teaching me about the REOs, at this point, I wasn't still in with Fannie Mae, so I'm flying back and forth. It's all a relationship game. And because Jeff had talked to some guy, this is honestly, what is his name? Guido Carmine or something like that. I mean, like the most Italian person you've ever seen in your life. Little guy, totally cool. And he puts us on a boat. Because we joined this $1,000 a month networking to meet more REO managers. That's what you used to do back then. And this is a little sidebar. That is what got me really into Fannie Mae. I had relations built, but I never really triggered it because the right people were on that boat. There were 250 real estate agents on that boat. Now, every one of you has heard me talk about edification. I'm going to give you an example of what happened. You can check with it. Here are the names of the people that were on that boat with me. A guy named Mike Costigan out of Atlanta, phenomenal. A guy named, out of Boston. Anybody here from Boston? I can't believe, Southie, top agent in all of Boston. I mean, the top agent. Lamacchia, Anthony Lamacchia was on that boat with us as well. Leo Pajera, he created Remind, was on that boat with us as well. And Jeff. So before we got what I said to him, this is a true story. I said, listen, there are 3 or 4 asset managers on this boat. We all knew that, where everybody's coming in. There's 3 Fannie Mae asset managers. That's what we wanted to talk to. I said, do this one thing, and we will be able to speak to them because they're going to seek us out. Every circle you go, brag on the 4 rock star REO agents that are on the boat. And it's the other 4 people that we're with. So that we've got everybody talking about these 4 amazing people, which is really all 5 of us. By the end of the night, the 3 asset managers and all 5 of us were at the front of the boat on the bow with nobody else around us. Because of the edification, everybody knew of the big rock stars, and we weren't. We were just saying we were. Fake it till you make it kind of thing. But the asset managers heard it too, and they heard our name from other people to say, wow, there must be some validity to that. So they ended up seeking us out, and when we caught them, we ended up having a conversation. That's how I got the Fannie Mae account. Because of edification, because I knew Jeff, and that's where it came from. And then after that, I took Brent's stuff, and that's where the open houses came from. So we did Brent's open house, and I did it this way. I said, this isn't going to work. I ordered 50 signs. You know why? Because it wasn't going to work. I said, there's no way. At that point, we're getting Social Security. Brent says, just put number there for their Social Security. They'll give you the Social Security. Bullshit. Nobody's going to give me the Social Security. We had 30 groups of people through there. This is in 2009. Of those 30, 15 gave us Social Security. We gave them right over to our lender. I didn't believe it, but I followed the model. I've since changed the model because I'm now comfortable enough doing so, and we've adapted that model. But all of this came from 1, 2, 3, go. From I want more, so I need to model. Literally everything I just mentioned came from modeling. I wouldn't be here talking to you if it weren't for finding somebody that's doing what I want to do and saying, I want to spend time with you. It is incredibly flattering. All right. I believe I beat that horse to death. What'd you think? Y'all get anything out of that? Any ahas on this particular day? Well then, Next time I'll make it much shorter. Mike, good to see you, buddy. What'd you think of the, I'm talking to you, Mike Linwood. What'd you think of the event, man? How'd that go for you?
Was pretty awesome.
Right on.
Pretty incredible.
Mike drove out from Minnesota with George, who's his brother-in-law and his sponsor. And we got to hang out and got some barbecue out there. But more than anything, it was just really nice getting that kind of energy forced into us. And Mike, I won't see you at the summit. I think you're not going to make that, but you're going to be in Las Vegas, correct?
Yep, that's right.
Right on. That's just putting energy into it. Y'all make the commitment on what you want. Stand up for it. Say, I'm going to do it. You can do anything you put your mind to. Thank you, Miss Martinez. It's great to see you. Steph, shoot. Hey, Steph.
Good morning, everybody. My biggest aha was duplicating the system. Major necessity and what I'm struggling with right now to just get organized and just make it duplicable. So that was my biggest aha. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'm glad you got something from it. Copy. Seriously, you guys should just take somebody else's great ideas and then just plagiarize the crap out of them. All right, you're not running for president. You can do that. It's totally cool. You need to steal things, and totally good to do so. R&R. I'm assuming, Jess, what is R&R? Rip off and replicate. Oh, that you know I'm gonna plagiarize that right now. Rip R&R. Y'all need more R&R.
Feel free. I took it from somebody else.
Perfect.
Exactly. That's the way it works.
Exactly. There are no new ideas here. We've just kind of washed them with our own stuff. Hey, I will give you a bit of advice for all of you. The very first thing out the gate, when somebody gives you something to do, just do it the way they're doing it. And here's why. You haven't walked a mile in their footsteps. You don't understand the dynamics of how it works. And some things are not going to work exactly the same in your particular area. Because remember, we're all over the country at this point. So, the GPS group, we're everywhere, which that's the idea. But it's not going to work exactly the same, but give it a try. And if you fail, totally cool. You learned. Y'all know what's the guy that Edison that made the light bulb? He failed like 50,000 times or 10,000 times. And when, his assistant said, you're failing, he goes, no, I just learned another way it doesn't work. And I can eliminate that. So that he kind of narrowed in on it and it finally ended up working. Do the same thing. This is your year. If you listen to nothing else and just kind of follow along with the idea that I know, and there's your two things. Here's your homework. What is it I really want to be? What's my focus? Where my business is going to come from? Every single person on this call should, at minimum, have that knowledge right now. Where is my number one lead source? Lead generation. What is it? It's going to get my attention. If you're brave enough, put it in the chat because I'm interested to see what people are talking about. I'm not going to like beat you up or call you out or anything. I just want to see what people are going to have as their number one lead generation source. Because if you know what that is, you're more than halfway home. You can do it. You just have to say, this is what it is. And then the line in the sand goes in there and says, I'm not going to do anything except excel at this. It's not going to kill you. It won't take all your time. But I promise you, your results will go through the roof. Michelle, love it. Open houses, Michelle, oh my God. I'm just going to compliment you on this one. There's so many cool additions to it. And if you want, Michelle, when I put on that huge open house, will you be a partner with me in there and work that with me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'll do that.
All right. Delania, you didn't have a choice. I was going to steal you for that one too. But yeah, absolutely. Melanie, love it. Melanie, where do you live?
I'm in Delray Beach.
Okay, you're too far away. However, Christian's down there and he's amazing. If you haven't followed him on one, he does such an incredible job. Make that an effort and shadow him. He is one of the most sharing, giving people. He can take, you probably already have a great knowledge base on open house. We have a full-on class on it, but Christian has elevated. I was literally FaceTime living with him this weekend at his open house. Seek him out. He is Australian or British or something and talks all funny, but God, he's super smart. He's great. and just grab onto his coattails and say, I'm not letting go until you walk me through everything.
Sounds
Maybe
great.
help him and walk him serve it, but you're going to get this. That's awesome. Way to go. Social media. All right. So database and social media. Let's see, attorney, social media, database. Great. Jessica, Celestine, I think I said that right. Jessica's excellent social media. Follow her, tag. She's on Jessica. If you would, can you put your Instagram account on there? Celestine, I want you to take a look at what she's doing. She's so good at communicating. Oh my God. I mean, really, really powerful. And just start trolling on people in a nice way. I guess I don't know how to say what trolling is, but if you find somebody that's doing a good job of it, oh, well, there you go. You're all set. You're good. Right on. She's your sponsor. You're great. But if you find somebody like that, like I said, copy them. Copy what they're doing. Ask them questions on what they're doing. Most will share. Jessica's already come from massive contribution here. Jonathan Master, social media, video. I love video. Farming works great and opens as well. Cool. What's your primary one, Jonathan? If you're comfortable with it, what's the number one thing that no matter what is going to get the most energy from you?
The social media video. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I missed that, buddy.
Social media and video.
So what's video like? Does that
Well,
look like?
I guess it would be the same for all social media. I'm just going to be doing videos. Like the one I did for the open house this weekend. I don't know if you saw it.
I did not. Can I make a quick just observation about what just as a recommendation? You put in there farming, so I'm assuming you have an area already kind of identified that you
Yep.
are interested in. Is that fair?
Yep.
All right, cool. So what if you incorporated that into an area with your social media as well as probably mirror and bouncing off of like YouTube, where you are the person that has interviewed all the local businesses. And the reason I say that is if you are nothing else, you are like personable, approachable, funny, and engaging in every aspect. You are built for speed when it comes to having conversations with people. What if you put that out there? You get the loyalty from all the businesses. They would love your ass for sure. They're going to love you. Bring your son as well because he's great. But I mean, do you imagine how amazing that would be? And it'd be a lot of fun because that's your farm area. That's where you're known. It's like you're from Brooklyn and you're one of the made guys. It's like he's a friend of mine.
That's exactly what that's exactly the plan was to just, I mean, it's my neighborhood and the three neighborhoods surrounding my community. And I'm doing the shopping centers and you know, the eateries that are right here on the corner. And that's it. I don't want to go further than that. Because everything changes around here. It becomes equestrian properties, it becomes land, it becomes issues. So I like the communities. I know all four of them. I run through all of them every day. So
perfect. You meet the neighbors, you're doing all that's exactly right. So question, have you interviewed one of the local businesses?
2.
Okay, cool. And were you nervous on the first one?
Yeah.
A little better on the second one?
Oh yeah.
Right on.
And the video got better too.
I'll bet it did. But
like the editing of the video got better too.
Dude, that's awesome. You don't throw out the video though. You can't throw it out. You got to use it.
No, it's on YouTube. You can go look at them. What I did was I went around the neighborhoods and I asked people who owns their own business. And I got replies and I called them all up and I said, would you like to do a video with me? And they said, sure, come on over. I'd love to see what you're doing and we can put it on Facebook. Oh my God, that's amazing. So I did pressure washing, kids clothing thing.
Oh my God. So, all right, this is where the mastermind part comes in. So what if you're doing these videos with all the people that live in the neighborhood where you're farming and you start to create this catalog of who is available. So if here you've got this huge database, people that are local business owners. If you want a pressure washer, here's his name, here's his number, and here's a video interviewing him so you can meet him. That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah. And the discount too.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, you're taking it to the next level.
I picked something. I picked it up from you where it was you need to come with an offer, right? So the offer was they'll give you $100 off because you're in the neighborhood because you saw the video. Say mention the video, you get $100 off.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter, they mention the video. No matter where it is, it's new business. They have a cost of putting the business together. Why wouldn't they do? You get to get them out for nothing, and you're doing the work, which is actually fun. By the way, what do you edit your videos on?
I was using iMovie, but now I'm using something called Film IC Pro.
One more time with that.
Film IC Pro.
Film IC. Oh, okay. I asked because you're obvious. What I'm doing is I'm modeling after him. I'm stealing his ideas, which is exactly what we just talked about. Because I'm doing more and more videos, and I want to do them better. So, and I use iMovie, and now I use Film ICO as about 15
IC
minutes
Pro,
from now.
Pro, PRO.
IC Pro.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's ICPRO.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for the tip on that one. Bill put in here database, client parties, and open houses. And dude, Bill, where are you? God bless you. Bill Bliss, if you were doing a client parties is a part of database, which is awesome. And I will tell you, for all of you that don't know, Bill is a secret agent on these calls. A lot of the times he's engaged very much. He is capped. Going for Icon is like selling, is elevated his price point from the regular status up to the $1 million homes. He's just unbelievable skilled at what he's doing. Way to go, Bill. I don't see you on here, so maybe it's just me. Did I miss you? He must have hopped off, but he's the real deal. Love that he's doing that as well. All right, listen, I got to go. We ran this long. The after party is, well, it's only for a couple
It's
minutes.
okay, Bill. I see you. I see you.
Where is he?
He's
I'm
literally
looking
right
for him.
below you, but he was waving his arms around and everything.
Where? I can't see him. Look, my brother. I literally